Necromancer Uniques, are they worth it, working, and should you try to get them? Some are absolutely build defining and a must have, and others are kind of, why do you even exist? Let's put them in the ranking from worst to best. Let's begin with the worst one, Greaves of the Empty Tomb. Why is this one so terrible? Because it doesn't work. Yeah, create desecrated ground beneath your Sever Specters as they travel, damaging enemies for 1000 shadow damage over 2 seconds. That would be insane, together with the evade charges, intelligence, essence cost reduction, lucky hit chance with shadow damage, and damage reduction from enemies affected by shadow dot damage. Brilliant. But it doesn't apply shadow blight stacks. And that's why you would need these boots. Because you would throw out Sever, your shadow blight stacks would go up, and you would get your 180% even faster. They simply don't work, which makes them the worst possible option right now. That being said, Sever also perfectly works without them. So as they maybe get fixed, they could definitely supercharge a Sever build to get your bonus damage even more often. But realistically, you don't actually need this, because you want to set up your shadow bonus damage before you actually use your Sever. So yes, you could get more of the stacks, but technically you already have with a Shadow Blood Mist and Shadow Corpse Explosion, so the Sever boots are absolutely useless. I did find the Bloodless Scream, and I thought, yes, this item is absolutely insane. It's gonna be the super cheeks clapper. I mean, it is a Scythe. It has life on kill. That's kind of stinker. Darkness skill damage, damage to chill, damage to frozen. Problem is that's actually 1 damage bucket, and then cold resistance. A little bit useless, but your darkness skills chill enemies for up to 40%, and then lucky hit, your darkness skills have up to 100% chance to generate 2 to 5 additional essence against frozen targets. Pair that together with a blizzard aspect on your skeletons and play cold mages, and it's going to be absolutely insane. That's at least what I thought. The problem is that the blizzard aspect on the skeleton becomes completely useless later on. Yes, the bonus freeze, the bonus stagger is nice, but you really don't actually need it in any way. And the actual affixes as darkness skill damage, damage to chill, and damage to frozen are terrible, because what we're looking for most Necromancer builds is vulnerable damage, critical strike damage, and then, well, darkness skill damage ain't wrong, or core skill damage. But you have nothing of this. You're missing out on the most important damage buckets that scale your damage absolutely crazy. We're talking here about Bone Spear, Even Blight, Sever, and Blood Surge. Yes, still Blood Surge actually does want overpower damage, for example, so completely useless for that as well. Every darkness build kind of wants that maximum critical strike damage, so the Bloodless Scream is for the existing builds kind of like useless. So it exists, but it's completely useless. That gets followed up by the Blood Artisan's Cuirass, which is a super fun item, but if you don't find it a max roll, it's completely useless. When you pick up 10 to 5 blood orbs, a free bone spirit is spawned, dealing bonus damage based on your current life percent. That's interesting because it actually doesn't matter how much life you have, it's down to your life percent. To really make this work, you gotta obviously tack full into Bone Spirit as well. It already has ranks of Bone Spirit on it. That's nice. You get +3 there. You get a total armor. You get bonus damage when picking up blood orbs. So you can go for a complete cool blood orb build, and there's a way to cheese Uber Lilith with this, because blood orbs are eternal, so you can make 1 billion blood orbs and then one hit Uber Lilith. Yes, it sounds plenty crazy, but it actually does work, and it's super fun when it does work. That being said, though, the Blood Artisan's Cuirass currently is kind of like just providing bonus damage on top, and isn't like a unique that single-handedly carries a whole build. Whereas, for example, the Ring of Mendel with the Death Speaker's pendants really absolutely crazily supercharge you. The Blood Artisan's Cuirass is just a little nice to have, and if you don't have the 5 roll on the spirits, it's completely useless. You need 5 roll on the orbs. If you get 10, 9, 8, 7, forget about that. You need the lowest one possible. And then you also would want to have a high roll on total armor and blood orb healing and the bonus damage. But yeah, it's fun. It's good. You can have a good time. You can one-hit Uber Lilith. So if you want to cheat something, certainly there's an option. Now let's talk Death Speaker's Pendant, which is actually brilliant. I mean, the item is obviously made for a Blood Surge build. Surprise or unsurprise. It has Coalesced Blood, which supercharges your damage, overpower damage, summoning skill damage, blood skill damage, and then Blood Surge casts mini novas around your minions. These mini novas get stronger the more enemies they cast. These mini novas heal your minions, and these mini novas can overpower. So making a build with your minions and overpower is an absolute no-brainer. I've actually done it, and it can push you absolutely to level 100, and it is quite strong. Yes, it does lack a little bit of the single target super overpowered damage when you're fighting a boss, but you'll get them down without actually being any way ever in danger, because you heal yourself and you heal your minions with the Death Speaker's Pendant and your Blood Surges. Therefore, this makes it an absolute top tier item that completely changes the build, because you can play Blood Surge without minions the whole time. But as soon as you play Death Speaker's Pendant, the world opens up for a complete new build. And as minions might get buffed or not in the future, it gets even better down the line. Now, before we go to the Ring of Mendel, there's one more that needs to be mentioned, and that is the Mother's Embrace. It is not a Necromancer unique, but I still want to mention it because it is uniquely made for Necromancer. Since it does overpower damage, critical strike damage, lucky hit chance, and all stats, and it refunds cost of your skills. Since it does have overpower damage, and if core skills hit 5 or more enemies, 40% of the resource cost is refunded. Blood Surge, it just yells Blood Surge. There's no question. This is for Blood Surge. Mother's Embrace is for Blood Surge. It does overpower damage. Your overpower can crit as well. It gives you all stats. There's no question, actually. It gives lucky hit chance, and lucky hit chance can fortify you as a blood build. It's perfectly made for that, especially together with the Death Speaker's Pendant. Not a Necromancer unique, but needs to be mentioned. And then we're jumping over to the Ring of Mendel, which has a caveat, and that is it has thorns for no reason, but it gives you maximum minion life, minion attack speed, lucky hit chance, and it allows you to do millions of damage. And technically, it should actually get buffed, because right now it has a 10% chance to actually work. That for unique is incredibly low, because a 10% lucky hit chance on a 50% lucky hit chance ability is only a 5% chance to trigger. And right now, to supercharge the Ring of Mendel, we're using Bone Prisons to drop millions and millions and millions and uber millions of damage. Think about it. Like, the actual Ring of Mendel, in the way it works okay. But to really make it incredibly good, we need to use a bugged mechanic with currently the Bone Prison. And that's kind of like a stinker. I would at least double it from 10% to 20% to really make the Ring of Mendel actually be a unique that gets something super crazy. Now we're coming to the top 3 of Necromancer uniques. That is number 3, the Hell from Below, giving you lucky hit chance, corpse skill attack speed, and instead of detonating immediately, corpse explosion summons a volatile skeleton that charges at a random enemy and explodes. And it also gives you 40% multiplicative damage. That obviously yells, hey, Infinimus Necromancer. You know the Infinimus Necromancer that constantly actually stays in the Blood Mist and refreshes the Blood Mist and triggers corpses around and destroys everyone with shadow damage and more? Yeah, Hell from Below, just giving you 40% multiplicative increasing damage, and it charges your skeletons wherever your opponents are because they turn into heat-seeking homing missiles, which is super fun against world bosses as well. It makes the whole corpse explosion playstyle even more fun. You can also play this in minion builds as well. It works definitely down the line with so many Necromancer builds, and it is welcome to every build that actually does use corpse explosion. The Hell from Below does not have any downsides, to be honest, because you often have one offensive slot left, and it makes even your corpse explosions cast faster in a row because of the corpse skill attack speed. And with a lucky hit chance, you could even play this with Ring of Mendel to trigger even more Ring of Mendel. That one gets followed up by the Deathless Visage. As we already know, you want to play your Bone Spear with as much essence as possible, and this gives you even maximum essence plus critical strike damage with bone skills, physical damage, and total armor. It is uniquely made to obviously play Bone Spear like crazy. And it does Bone Spear leaves behind echoes as it travels that explode, dealing damage. And that damage obviously gets scaled with all your critical strike damage and shenanigans, making this absolutely amazing and a must-have for Bone Spear builds. There's actually no question. You obviously can play it without, but there's no reason why you wouldn't get this huge amount of bonuses. I mean, apart from max life, obviously, which usually Helmet can have to up to 1,000. But the bonus essence is so amazing because you're going to be spamming your Bone Spear away. You're going to be trying to replenish your essence, and you're going to play the aspect, the Master, that also gives you more damage the more essence you have on cast. So yeah, the Deathless Visage is just an absolute no-brainer. That is a must-have when you're playing Bone Spear. Works without, with, it's going into the Nether Realm. Incredible. And then last but not least, we have the one and only, the weapon that has no downsides, the good thing, the Black River. And it does actually have a downside. Okay, let's be real here about this. So first and foremost, Black River is a Scythe. Scythe is bad because no lucky hit or critical strike damage. Then corpse explosion consumes up to 4 additional corpses around the initial corpse, dealing 122% increased damage. and with a 21% larger radius. It is multiplicative super ultra bonus damage that you can stack together with 180% damage that you get on Shadow Blight key passive stacking anyways. So you get 122% on the corpse plus 180% damage increase in general. Then you have max intelligence, you get damage to distance and healthy enemies, which is good, but obviously critical strike damage and vulnerable damage would be better. But you also get ranks to Fueled by Death, and Fueled by Death is your skill that gives you more damage as you consume corpses. And now this Black River is obviously for the absolute S tier build that you have in Necromancer, and that would be the Infinity Mist Shadowmancer that has cleared every single content right now, and that is the absolute super good skill to get rid of tier 100 dungeons, because you're essentially just going to be staying into your Blood Mist, never leave your Blood Mist. And while you're in your Blood Mist and never leave your Blood Mist, you're just continuously exploding your opponents with the bonus damage of the corpse explosion. And if you're in Blood Mist, you can't get damaged. And if you infinitely have Blood Mist because you continuously refresh Blood Mist, well, you can factually not actually die. That's brilliant and that's fun. And that's where Black River is just an absolutely insane choice to supercharge your build there and the, well, #1 of all the Necromancer Uniques. Now, I do hope the one or the other to be buffed in the future because they're good, but they're just not good enough. And I obviously would like more Necromancer Uniques as well that allow for even more varied builds. Now, which one do you rate high? And also, I hope you learned that you don't actually have to look for these necessarily, because until level 85, you can easily play without any of these uniques. After level 85, and especially if you want to hit some higher nightmare dungeons or certain builds, you'll need this. But for example, the Sever Summoner, which does millions of crits, does not need a single unique to actually work. Minion builds until 85 without Mendel, and after 85, you need Mendel. Now, looking for set Summoner Necromancer, don't look further. And also, if you want to know more about nightmare dungeons, we get the video for you as well.